Let me preface this by saying I'm not a paranoid person. I don't believe in ghosts, aliens, or whatever creepypasta nonsense gets posted here. Or I didn't. Until about a month ago. I live in a small Midwestern town. Quiet, safe, the kind of place people leave their doors unlocked. I moved here a year ago after a nasty breakup in Chicago. I wanted something slower, something peaceful. My house is small, a one-story thing with a narrow front porch and a view of the street. Across from me sits a much older, Victorian-style house that's been empty as long as I've lived here. At least, I thought it was empty. Night 1. It started subtly. I'd gotten up at 3 a.m. to get a drink of water. I walked past my front window. An instinct made me glance across the street. There was a light on in the upstairs window of the house across from mine. That struck me as odd. I had never seen a light on in that house before. No movement, no car in the driveway, nothing. I stood there for a second, squinting. The light wasn't bright. It had a dim, yellowish glow, like an old lamp with a dusty shade. And there was something in the window. A shape. Not moving, just there. Watching. I told myself it could be a reflection. I went back to bed. Night 2. Same time. 3:07 a.m. I remember the exact minute because I looked at my phone. I wasn't thirsty this time. I just woke up. My bedroom faces the back of the house, but I had the strangest compulsion to go to the front window. The light was on again. Same window. But this time, the shape wasn't still. It was moving. Back and forth. Pacing almost. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone thinking. Or waiting. I don't know how long I stood there watching it. Long enough that I didn't notice my cat, Miso, sitting at my feet with her back arched and fur puffed. She growled low, a sound I'd never heard her make before, and ran off. I went back to bed with all the lights on. Day 3. I couldn't stop thinking about it. During the day, I crossed the street, pretending to jog. The house looked dead. Windows dusty. Porch cracked. Weeds overtaking the walkway. No car in the driveway. I even cupped my hands and peered in through a side window. The place looked abandoned. Furniture under sheets. A layer of dust so thick it dulled the sunlight. I shook it off. Told myself I was overthinking it. But when I looked back at my own house from across the street, something clicked. From that upstairs window, the one with the light, you could see directly into my bedroom. Night 4. No light. No shape. I felt like maybe it had just been a weird trick of insomnia and paranoia. But then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. I didn't answer. Who picks up calls at 3 a.m. from blocked numbers? A voicemail came through a minute later. Just static. I listened to the whole thing. Near the end, a voice whispered something. I swear I heard my name. I didn't sleep after that. Night 5. I installed motion sensor cameras facing the street. Cheap ones from Amazon. I set the notifications to ping me if they caught anything between midnight and 5 a.m. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected, front yard. I opened the app. There was a figure standing on the sidewalk across the street, just outside the frame of the street lamp. Tall. Still. No facial features I could make out, just a silhouette. Then it moved. Not back into the house. Toward mine. The video ended before it reached the curb. My app didn't record anything else. Like it vanished. I ran to the window, but the street was empty. I stayed awake until sunrise with a kitchen knife in my hand. Day 6. I filed a police report. They took it half seriously, said it could have been a drunk or a prank. Promised to check in on the old property across the street. I felt ridiculous. I mean, I didn't even have a good description of the person. But that night, I noticed something new. Something I couldn't explain away. There was a footprint on my porch. Just one. In a spot I hadn't stepped on. Big. Too big to be mine. I wiped it away. Night 7. The power went out at 2:58 a.m. I know because I just checked my phone when the lights flickered and died. Everything shut off. The cameras, the Wi-Fi, the lights. I rushed to the window, heart hammering, and saw the upstairs light on again in the house across the street. But that wasn't what made me drop my phone. There was someone standing in my front yard. Not on the sidewalk. Not on the porch. Directly in the yard, in the dark. I couldn't see their face, but I knew they were looking at me. I knew because when I backed away from the window, they mirrored me. Stepping back. Mimicking. Like they knew I was watching. Like they wanted me to see. The power came back on 10 minutes later. They were gone. Day 8. I booked a hotel. Something about that night told me it wasn't going to stop. That I was being watched, studied, maybe even hunted. When I packed a bag, I noticed something else. My bedroom window, the one directly across from the creepy house, had smudges on the outside, like fingerprints, greasy, human streaks, as if someone had pressed their face and hands against the glass. I didn't even own a ladder. The hotel. I stayed in a Holiday Inn on the edge of town. I tried to forget it. I drank too much, kept the curtains drawn, and slept with the TV on. But around 3 a.m., the phone rang in the hotel room. No caller ID. I picked it up this time. There was no voice, just breathing. And then, very softly, in a voice that sounded almost like mine, "You left the window open." I screamed. Hotel security came. They chalked it up to a prank. Said the call couldn't be traced. Day 10. I went home during the day, with 2 friends. Told them everything. They looked skeptical until they saw the video from the camera I'd installed out back. At 3:06 a.m., something moved just out of the camera's limited range. Then, a blurry shape crept into view. It wasn't clear, almost like it didn't want to be seen clearly, but it looked wrong. Too tall, limbs too long, no clear face. It moved like it wasn't used to a body, like it was wearing one. My friends left early, said they'd keep in touch. They haven't called since. Night 11. I slept in the hallway. No windows. Door locked. Phone recording audio. In the middle of the night, the door handle turned. Not once. Not fast. It slowly jiggled. Then something whispered through the keyhole. "You dreamed so loudly." The audio didn't catch any of it. Just silence. But I remember. I remember every word. Final entry. I'm writing this from the car. I'm leaving town tonight. When I passed the house across the street earlier, I noticed the for sale sign had fallen over. Looked freshly broken, like someone had stepped on it. The upstairs light was on again, but this time, the window was open, and there was something hanging out of it. Something small. Something that looked like a doll. Except it was wearing the same clothes I was wearing yesterday. I didn't go back to check. If you read this and you live near an old house with a single light in the window, one that seems like it's always watching, trust your gut.